Oh, gracious. You're brave. Okay, we'll call it order, and this is a workshop, so we're going to ask clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Hatley,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin,
Here.
Councilman Collins,
Here.
Councilman Coyne,
Here.
Councilwoman Fontana,
Here.
Councilman Skidmore, Councilman Thomas. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I will turn it over to our city attorney, our city manager right now.
So this is a workshop regarding two different developments. One is Wax Myrtle, which was first reading was approved back in September, but at the time, obviously, there were changes that council wanted to see made, and it's kind of been kicked down, the can's been kicked down the road the last few months, trying to establish a time when would be appropriate to hold a workshop, which is where we're at today. The Preserve, which is one that came before council at the January council meeting, seemed like to just kind of kill two birds with one stone and have a workshop to cover both of these. So this is more or less an opportunity for these representatives of those two developments to come before you, answer any questions, kind of explain what they're thinking, and we'll take it from there. But I know the two groups are here to talk about it. Suzanne, I don't know if you want to give kind of a no, we'll just get right into it then. So
We'll start with Wax Myrtle.
yeah, I believe Waterside's the first one. Shep is here. Yep.
Thank y'all. I appreciate you doing this again. I know you're tired of seeing this one. This one we've seen times now. What Suzanne did was kind of walk through our existing plan that was approved initially, and then the evolution of the plan over the last few months, trying to get to a place where you all were satisfied with what was going on there. I know in the conversation that the way this plan was arranged, where there were no homes back to back, was preferable to council. Some of the plans that were in the interim were not that way. The latest plan, you'll see, these were the plans that had back to back houses that nobody was real happy with. So this is the latest iteration of that. We returned to the stormwater pond in the middle to keep those houses from backing up to each other. The ones in that lower circle towards the waterway do back up. The reason they back up instead of putting a pond there is because of the elevations. The water actually runs away from the waterway because of the original dredge and runs towards the ditch at the back of the property. So what we did there instead, that inset on the right is a berm and buffer there to make sure that those folks aren't looking at each other, that'll be preserved and maintained by the homeowners association. I think the real crux of this one comes down to, based on what I've heard, I think we all would prefer the span bridge as opposed to sticking two box culverts in that watershed. And the question for that is because the cost of doing the span bridge is more than box culverts, the developers asked for additional density. We went from the original 91 that were approved to a request at 100. I think that's the sticking point with council. So I'd just like to hear from you all if there's a number that you're comfortable with giving some increased density in order to allow for that span bridge, or if there are other aspects of this plan that concern you all.
Jeff, this says November proposed. Are we looking at the existing entitled plan?
The existing entitled plan, if I can make this go backwards. One.
Okay.
That was the one that
Oh,
was originally
inside.
approved.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And that had 2 crossings. One of the things that I think appealed to everybody is by eliminating that second crossing, you preserve that grove of trees, which there are actually some good trees up there. When we went to the revised plan that you're looking at now, the other thing that happened was we pulled those lots back away from the trees. We added some to that turn there so that the city service trucks could make that turn without having to impact that grove of trees. So those would be preserved in the new plan as well.
On the original, the currently entitled, what's our density?
91.
91, okay.
I think it's 91.
So you're asking for 9 more houses.
Here, we're asking for 9 more houses. The additional cost is about $700,000 for the span bridge, so that's where they're trying to at least get to the point where they break even by doing the span bridge. Okay. Jim just corrected me, it's 89 rather than 91 in the current entitled plan.
Okay.
So 11 more houses.
Yep. And I think you'll remember, these were all zoned as 3 neighborhoods at once. Since then, 2 of the 3 have been revised to bring the overall density down. But I do understand where you are, is that you'd like to bring density down across the board.
The whole project with the 3 together, how many houses?
Yeah, it's on. So that number on the original approved with the 89 versus 91 is actually 536. And amended, if we did have 100 in this neighborhood, that would bring the total to 467.
Say that again, Chip.
So as originally approved, the 3 neighborhoods together had 536 total units.
Yeah.
If you'll remember that, what we call neighborhood 1, which was originally townhomes and revised to single family, that dropped from 282 to 202. The neighborhood number 2, which surrounded the original 2 neighborhoods that you all approved, did not change. And then this neighborhood, the proposal is to increase that density, but you would still be well below the original approved total at 467.
Right. The, into the,
Any reason to do?
I think the only reason to do it is to keep the trees and to put the span bridge in. And I understand that that might not be worth the additional density, but that's really the trade-off.
Right.
the buffering that you first spoke about occurs in the lower section below, between Shepherd's Way and Grand Meadow Drive. So if you start at the bottom of the plan, you've got the U-shape part
Right.
of the traffic, I won't call it a circle, but circle-like area. And then you have a row of homes. Then you have the blank space in there, which is,
The
best I can
dedicated.
tell,
Right. That's the
because of
dedicated
the size
buffer.
of the font, yeah.
That
That's-
gets conveyed to the homeowners association. It's not part of the lots for, on either side of it. So it is dedicated.
And that's the landscaping detail that is to the left, on the left-hand side of the page.
That's right.
So in effect, it sort of accomplishes,
I think it accomplishes the goal, other
I
than
mean,
making water run uphill. That's,
it's kind of just another version of the first plan. Now, it does have some more homes, for what that's worth, but it's a little less, military. You know, I'm saying this project, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Military.
But, yeah, it's a little, it makes for a lot nicer project.
I guess I'm confused. If you go up 11 houses, if you don't go up 11 houses, you can't keep the trees? Is that what you're saying?
If you leave the entitled plan, there's two crossings on it, which are both box culverts. So if you look at the top of the proposed plan where that grove of trees is, those would get wiped out by the second crossing.
It looks to me like you're, by saving that area compared to the entitled plan, you cut out about 3 homes,
Yeah, that's right.
3 home sites. And then, I like that you added back, obviously, we had concern with getting rid of the ponds. You added those back.
Right.
And look, for the 3 homes and keeping and saving that green area and all those trees, I might be okay with that. I don't, at any case, want to see an increase in density. You know, it's just not where I am right now, with everything going on that we got going on. But I do have a question too about the second ingress and egress being gone. Can you refresh my memory on that? Why we're
Yeah, so that was the difference between a box culvert, and Dana can certainly speak to this better than I can, but a box culvert is basically a concrete structure that gets dropped into the existing drainage way. The proposed new bridge would be a span bridge, so it doesn't touch the existing drainage way, it spans from side to side. We also made that wide enough that you've got 3 lanes there so you could get in and out, and it's signed and designed to handle, you know, fire trucks, concrete trucks, whatever has to cross that bridge is more than capable of doing it.
typically with this number of homes, or even, I think, I don't know what the number is, but 50 or something like that, we require 2 means of ingress and egress. Is there a big issue of having that, or how does staff feel about that?
Well, it depends on how wide the drive would be, because you've got to be able to get a fire truck through there.
Right. Our typical standard, that would require 2 entrances, but that has been in situations in the past when you have unusual topography or other environmental features you're trying to preserve, and then sometimes as part of those waivers, then they make the leg coming down have to be wider than normal to make sure that any potential blockage is accommodated and counted for. You know, the classic example was what was originally planned out at Barefoot for that new section out there at one time. But so it's not a hard and fast rule. It's a guideline,
Yeah.
and there are always ways to mitigate and ask for waivers to that.
So you think that this is okay, safety-wise, for fire, all that stuff, the reason why we would want?
Yes, you see they widened the throat of that one road to make sure that that's accounted for.
So they widened the road when they took Span Bridge out. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the amended with the neighborhood totals broken down for me, if you don't mind?
I think so. The wrong way.
Yep,
There
there it
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
So you dropped 80 out of Rosewood.
That's right.
And went up 11 on the Wax Myrtle.
And you've got Sycamore. Sycamore didn't change. So it's all 165. Wax Myrtle.
Well, actually, that number's still wrong on that. That's 89, right?
And not
Yeah,
91 to
89.
11. Added 11 to that, plus 11, minus 80.
And why did it drop from 89 to 91?
The approved plan, I thought the approved plan had 91 units on it. Jim says it actually had 89 on it. Yep. So that total is actually 536 rather than 538.
So if my math is correct, then they have an overall, if for all three of the PDD, they have an overall density decrease of 69 units from what was originally entitled. Even though one section is going up a little, overall, they're down 69 units.
Okay. How does the staff feel about this? Do you have any comments for us, any direction?
We do agree that the bridge is a lot better than the box culverts. And ordinarily, we wouldn't like going down to one-way in and out, but they have mitigated that by widening that in and out, which is standard practice with what we've done in the past. I like the buffering between the units on the bottom there near the waterway, so and with the overall density in this project going down 69 units, I think that accomplishes council's objectives in making sure that we have meaningful density reductions.
Thank you, Jim.
What's the buffer size on there again? Shep?
The buffer size.
Eyes aren't good enough to see that. 30 feet.
30 feet?
Mhm.
And what's the depth of it? Is that 30 feet long or 30 feet wide?
Wide.
Wide, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll
That's
you'll
what I was
always
asking.
maintain 30 feet between the two sets of houses. We didn't want to plat that buffer as part of either of the lots, because you all know what happens when you do that.
Right.
Right.
Then somebody will clear it. So that'll actually be conveyed to the homeowners association. They'll maintain it. The individual lot owners will not maintain it.
Right. Well, council, I mean, I can go along with the changes. Like to lower that density instead of 10 houses. I still think we could do without 10 houses, so we could lower it some. But after listening to the planning department and listening about the expand bridge and so forth, I can go along with making some changes. And the fact that they've already lowered the density. 60-some units.
That's right.
I like the lower density, of course. That's always a plus for us with everything we have in the city going on. The span bridge, I'm fine with. The buffer, I'm fine with. What's in this corner right here, Shep?
That is a common amenity so other people can get down to the waterway and to the docks there. That's what that area is, so that everybody has access to that.
So it'll be open, not gated, and it'll be open for
That's correct.
anyone to use?
That's right.
Okay.
And it's in the development agreement that cannot be built on, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Where's your mailboxes for these units? What are you doing for that? Just out of curiosity. Do these go in front of these units, or are you having a,
I don't think it's done with a whatever you call it, the little groupings. I think
Yeah.
these are
Common.
actually individuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are these rentals?
No, they're not. These are all part of what Meritage did over there. If you remember, this was the neighborhood they saved kind of to the end because they think this is the highest end neighborhood that they'll have in that project. So,
What size homes are they? Can you remember?
I don't remember I think the smallest plan we approved in there was 1,400 square feet. If you remember, we did an entire notebook of just the plans that were
I
approved for
remember,
Waterside.
but I can't
Yeah.
remember what they look like.
I know we go through it.
It's been a while.
It
so I
has been
can't
a while.
remember. All right. So they're going to sell these.
They are.
Well, I realize it's an overall decrease in density when you take all the three projects, but we're down to this one project, and I'm still concerned about decrease in density. With it being an overall and we're trees and green space, I'm okay with that, especially with the three houses, for the green space. I would like, and so that would be going from 89 to 92, and I'm fine with that. Wouldn't say I'm gonna vote against it, but I would like that you, and maybe even if you made 3 or 4 houses bigger, but you got the density down, more square footage. I say you think the smallest one is 1,400 square feet, that's pretty small.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the approved plans.
Right,
I don't
I
know
get
that that's
you.
what's proposed for this neighborhood.
Right, but could maybe change it to where you made some house. 14 is small, but I do understand a lot of retired people don't want any more than 1,400.
That's right. Well, and to Jay's point, I think when we walked through it before, what they were trying to get to was a break even, which that was at 98 units, it breaks even. So we can cut the 2 off of that and bring it back to 98 if that satisfied where you were instead of 100.
What size lots are these? Do we have any idea? I can't
Well, I
remember.
mean,
It's
your
on there
smallest,
somewhere, I
your
saw
red
it.
lots,
Is it on there?
your red lots are 41 feet
Oh, I can't read that.
by 130.
It's hard.
Yeah, the red lots are 41 feet wide, which are their smaller ones width-wise, by 130 foot deep. 152. So I mean, they're
Well, the green ones are a pretty good sized lot.
yeah. I mean, they're you still don't.
I mean, not huge lots, but a good sized lot for that development.
The
No,
pink ones are
no,
51
no.
by 112, they're just not as deep.
So they're not as typical Cherry Grove lots 50 by 100. So
Right.
they're
Exactly.
somewhat on par with that, or a little deeper. But I mean, if you drop 2, then you could effectively take the lower lots down there that in the red, the ones that have a buffer on one side of them, that you could actually 2 of those could be increased to the
Right.
to the wider ones if that was to make anybody happier.
Yeah, and we could do that.
I mean, that's just a suggestion, just looking at it.
Well, Jay commented on the 3 houses that would bring it to 92. I would suggest going back to the developer and asking if 92.
I actually already asked that question, and the $700,000 difference in the span bridge is where we got stuck on that. That's where I got my response, that they could go to 98.
Well, they
And
could
still
just
make-
make a little less money off of this development. I mean, I understand why they want them.
So what you're saying is they're willing to drop it from 100 to 98, which still was 9 more than,
Yeah.
originally.
Right. That's right.
We may have to compromise.
Well, we could go, if you want to go to 95, but, 100 houses in that development, I know, we're looking saying, well, what 5 houses do, but I do think they're going to have to compromise.
I agree. I'm a messenger, so you tell me what message to take back, I'll be happy to do that.
What do you all think?
Well, I mean, that would be ideal, to be at 92. The reason I brought up was doing some bigger houses was, to trade off the money too, because if you did a bigger house and, you make more money on selling it, obviously, so it trade off some of that. Just an idea to help recoup the cost of that bridge as well, but I mean, it's just not a time to be looking at increased density.
They could take out, with what Jay's talking about, they could take out up here near the pond, what is it? House numbers 93 through 100 and put, instead of having 4 smaller, you could do 2 large of the greens. Right here, by the pond, by the entrance.
Up at the top.
Yep. I think that would be a good compromise. Take out number 93, take out all those and put 2 larger houses or 3 larger houses.
On each side of the open space.
No,
Total.
I'm talking about total.
They could take out all the houses, the 93 through 100.
Yeah, so the 8 you would propose to cut to 4?
And you could probably,
Or 3, yeah.
we probably could get 4 larger homes.
You can take 93 and 94 and make it 1. Just combine those into the larger house.
Lots on each side instead of 4.
Yes.
The only thing about that is they're probably looking at it, because they're on the pond there, that they're gonna be more of a premium lot than, because they're on the water. That's the only,
Well, they get more premium house on the premium water.
yeah, but you don't get to do it as many times, and I think that's where the friction's gonna be.
I would suggest too that if they did double the size of those lots, they probably don't have a house plan in their book that would require that big of a lot, so they'd have to bring you some new house elevations to consider as well.
Well, if you add up those 4 lots, like say if you want, even 92 through 85, and then add up the green lots, would that be 3? Looks about the same, but I don't have a calculator sitting here with me, but.
Or can you take 2 of the smallers and trade it for a green to make it a larger plan? And then you can have, instead of 8 small houses, you can have 4.
How about this? If we took lot 1 and 2, which are up at the top, and are sort of out of sequence anyway, because those are larger lots up there, change that to a green lot, which would change those 2 to 1. And then down here where we have the 2 pinks and the orange lot, change that to 1 and leave where we got 20 and 21, leave those as an additional access to get to the water for the public. So we drop from 100 to 97 lots at that.
I would be happy for that.
I could handle that.
So eliminate 20 and 21 becomes a green.
Green.
And then the 2 at the top, which I think are 1 and 2,
One
would
green.
become one
That
green
makes
lot.
1 green one. I feel better with that. That's good.
At least then we aren't changing the characteristics of the homes as they got it laid out, so they're neighborhood. And those make sense to me because they're out of character compared to
Well, I
what's
think 1
around.
and 2, that's what I was just
Those look like
telling the
afterthoughts.
councilwoman, I'd take that 1 and 2 and make it a green.
They
Definitely.
just, at this point on the map right now, those 5 houses look like an afterthought.
Yep.
So that would put you at 97?
That would put us at 97 total then.
Can the council work with that?
I think I can.
I'm good with that.
I can work with that.
Okay. So we'll revise the
W.
plan and get it back in front of staff, and so you'll have a chance to see it before your next meeting as well.
Or I second that.
Yep.
Yep. Everybody satisfied? Any more questions? Any comments from the public on this one? Okay.
Thank you
There's no
all.
way we
Thank
can get 2 ways in and out with this plan.
The only way to do it is with the box culverts and getting rid of those trees. And that was, when we met with Greg Frazier, his concern was, 1, signage, and 2, he scrutinized the design to make sure that it had the capacity not only to handle multiple trucks at once, but you still had enough width that you had an open lane to get through if there were a problem, so.
Okay.
As long as the fire trucks and everybody can get in there, the ladder truck and all that, we need that. It's always a definite.
I think that works.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move where? Into,
The presume.
advising service. I like this right here.
Mayor, council, we appreciate the time. We've taken your thoughts into consideration and gone back to the drawing board. Density, we've heard, needs to come down, and I think this plan really reflects that. From there, the other issues are commercial primarily coming out. We discussed that at the last council meeting, but we can welcome your feedback and comments to this plan, but hopefully we've provided some more detail that gets you comfortable.
A reduction of 191 homes, that's pretty good. That's a large number.
We tried. It is a big change, but it fits the neighborhood and really lays out well.
So what is that, how many units does that leave you with?
We started, the PDD was originally approved with 804, and with this new plan, that puts us at 613.
Okay, Josh, exactly what you want to do. You want to take out the commercial,
Yes, ma'am. But to remove the commercial,
and you want to put more homes in there.
we'd like to put more homes where the commercial is, and from our perspective, we're looking at what is left is really one community. We're giving it to amenity centers. To not be confusing, we gave it 2 names, but for us, this is really one community. We would like to remove the commercial, and from there,
That's just so you could point out.
got it. So we're removing this commercial, and over here where the multifamily is, we're removing substantial density and bringing this in to really fit how the neighborhood has evolved out there. This is 5-story product, which next to 1-story and 2-story, we just thought would be a little overwhelming. There's still differentiation between the products out here. Our, call it premium product, is around this lake, and this is what's permitted right now, and site work is ongoing. From there, we have what we like to think of as lock and leave. There's going to be some one-story houses, little cottages in here, and think about someone coming down for 6 months and staying, right? That's really what part of this is. And as you work your way over, the type of home changes a little bit, right, to fit a different buyer. So it varies. We try to be mindful of connection. So you could walk around on not just the sidewalks that go on the adjacent streets, but really through some green spaces. They all connect to the 10-foot trail that goes around Long Branch Loop and Henry Road. From the beginning, we thought this was a great opportunity to provide substantial housing in North Myrtle Beach that a family could get out on and really kind of move, right? And be active in the community and not have a need to get on the road. We've done a good job at providing that. So, yeah, that's kind of the scope of changes.
So where are you taking out these, on this new plan? Show me again, where are you taking out?
The 191.
the-
I can switch. In this area right here, this is 5-story multifamily. The current approved use is 5-story multifamily.
Okay.
So instead, we've gone in here with townhomes.
I think that's a much better solution, and I like the reduction in density for that. 191 units, I mean, that's a lot.
It is substantial. We worked hard to make it work for us, but also, get to a neighborhood that we thought, really fit with what Myrtle Beach needed with just how this neighborhood has evolved. We're also providing a public road that will give access to this adjacent property a little further than what is currently laid out. We currently are supposed to stop about this area, but we're providing a road that can help them probably create a better design as well whenever this piece comes in for review.
And you're going to keep the amenity where it is?
We'll have 2 amenities, correct.
Right, okay,
And obviously the third one that's already under construction.
right.
Yeah.
I understand taking out the commercial on this, because if this was like further, the commercial would have been better, honestly. With this piece being set back so far, I just don't, it's almost like an afterthought when we first approved for the commercial.
Hell is hard right now, right? And I think you guys are probably seeing it with not having any retail being proposed in front of you further forward in the PDD. I thought that would have already gone by now and had a plan, but it's just a tough market for commercial. And coming off of 31 and 22 to have someone drive all the way into the preserve, into that back corner to keep that commercial alive, it would be a tall ask, I think.
Well, and they're driving through neighborhoods, too.
Correct.
So, that puts more traffic back there that probably the people that are buying back there are not gonna wanna deal with that, If you've got road traffic coming in, on highway traffic off of 31, I mean, if I'm back there walking my dog or whatever, I'm not gonna wanna see just, random people trying to get to the retail back there.
I think the idea, though, was to have something so that people didn't have to leave and go
Yeah.
so far. Might be more than what is usable maybe in the beginning, but seems like some small commercial space. I know when you came before us last time, my concern was getting rid of the commercial and adding the density, because that's the way it came. You were increasing the density substantially, plus getting rid of the commercial area. But now you're decreasing the density substantially and still getting rid of the commercial area. Still have a little bit of concern there on the commercial, just because of how far it is for somebody to leave out of that area, and go somewhere to get something like coffee or breakfast or,
I'm the
something
first
small.
to say, I'd love somewhere that you can walk out and walk around and grab a coffee. But
Yeah.
at some point, it just has to work, right? And there's a commercial track on the other side of Long Branch Creek, and it's just sitting there. and everyone knows that it has to be commercial, and it's just a tough market to get that. I mean, you have to have a lot of traffic to make that type of space work,
I
even
got you.
10,000 square foot.
Well, I do think that it will be necessary to have a community commercial area eventually. And I think that when we approved it, we were all thinking, this is going to be great for the entire developed area. Not that you would have to develop your commercial immediately.
I'd argue that if that commercial was built, even in 10 years, for all the homes that are, say, max density in that area, it's still not enough. I would invite you to just speak with some brokers. I mean, they'll tell you the traffic that's needed to make that type of commercial work. You know, think about everyone that lives there. They're going to really enjoy a coffee shop or a restaurant. But, you know, month 6 of living there, you know, you need them to, that needs to be the only restaurant they go to, right, to make that restaurant work. I mean, that's just a different world, and being that far back in that community, it's going to always be tough. I would tell you to look at some of the retail on 17. Think about the traffic you get on 17, and stuff doesn't survive.
But when you first brought it to us, you didn't feel that way.
No, I 100% felt that way. Yeah, that
Why
was
did
the
you bring it to
brainchild.
us that way?
I didn't. Actually, we could look back. Aaron Rucker was very insistent on having commercial, so he could ride his golf cart to it and have a coffee in the morning and a drink at night. We probably.
So you fell under his
I
pressure.
fell. I
You're
fell.
under his
And, you
pressure.
know, I probably spent 8-9 months on it, and I finally I gave in. I just, you know,
Just to get your project started.
I couldn't, you know, we looked at it as sacrificial, and it was tough, and we used that exact word in the conversation. Like, Aaron, it's not going to work. But, you know, I couldn't sit there forever, right? We had to move on. So, unfortunately, we did have this thought from the beginning. Now, you know, maybe it all became multifamily out there, and we had 3 times the density, and maybe there's enough traffic to make it work. But
Right.
as we talk about, this community's evolved a little bit different, and that's why we're bringing density down, right? We just realized it's not going to be that dense of an area. That's why we think the multifamily coming out just makes sense right now. But with that, I mean, you know, you look at the multifamily coming out, and you're like, that's great, but it's also just more detrimental to that commercial track, right? It's just less people to shop there.
Well, counsel, your thoughts?
I'm gonna back up a second. I'm a little confused because I think we didn't discuss any of the multifamily here on our last submittal, did we?
No, I hadn't submitted that yet, and I think that's where the conflict was I had told you guys that we had another package in the works to lower density, and since the last meeting, we basically submitted it and combined it as one package, which I think makes sense for, you know, density calculations.
So now we're not only looking at what we looked at
Right.
2 weeks ago. Now we're looking at
A new
a
one.
lot more involved, basically doubling the project.
This is actually all of the project that's left. We're just basically planning out everything that's left, so we don't have to come back, which was our intent. We were trying to phase it in to not, you know, overwhelm the engineer, but.
Understand that.
Yeah.
I'm really having a difficult following you. I need someone to explain to me exactly what he wants and what he has done to change these plans.
Let me
Or
take a
Corey, you
stab
do
at that. Okay, so if you remember, let's see, what sheet do I want to start with? All right, this was originally brought to you, and the commercial was up here. And they've eliminated this 10,000 square feet of commercial, and they showed you this. And in this section, considered in isolation, there was a slight increase in the number of units, and that caused some concern. And then Josh pointed out, well, overall, there's going to be a decrease in units because when we get to the multifamily section, we're changing that to townhouse, and those numbers are going to drop dramatically. So the big picture was that density was coming down. So what we recommended then was, let's have a workshop so we show you all of that at the same time so you get the big picture. And this is the part that last time was not in front of you. That was all multifamily. Now it's going to be townhouse, and that's where the density reduction is coming in, even though there was a very small increase in units in this part of it when it was considered in isolation. So, Josh, you might have to help me out. How many units was that going up last time with the reduction in the commercial?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I've been looking at it together.
It was, yeah, like roughly 20, 25 units in this section
Yeah,
from
with-
the elimination of commercial. And then to make up for that, massive reductions in density over here in what used to be the 5-story multifamily.
So if this helps, if you take this map, Exhibit E1, and you just take it and lay it, put it back, Jim, to where you just had it. Right there.
Yeah.
And lay it up here, you can see
Oh, yeah.
much better. So you've got your commercial that was taken out, and this turns into the townhomes right there.
So how many extra homes are you picking up where the commercial was going?
It was,
About 12.
What did we have left?
It was,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think it is about 12.
I don't have that. I just have these numbers.
Wait, let's go back. Can you pull up the
Well, you
existing?
had 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. You had 4 on each side of the commercial.
Also adding.
We had 8 on each side of the commercial.
So that was the 5-story multifamily here, this piece here and this. And that's changing to townhouse, and that's where, even there was a slight increase here, but a massive decrease here.
It's a massive decrease,
Massive.
yeah.
yeah, those were five-story buildings over there. Yeah, they were huge.
And as just a small note, down here in this little pod right there at the bottom, that was a single, what they call single loaded, because there's only one lot, or one side of the street has lots on it. That's a very, very inefficient design from an engineering and land use standpoint, so they're taking that little tiny section right there and changing that to a similar product to the townhouses.
The town, okay, see it right here.
Okay, so that's another thing that's being changed. We just need to know the whole thing about what's going to be changed. And I think this may show it.
This first one right here kind of show, like if you,
Shows it.
yeah.
Talk about that section there. Pull up the
So this is what we were just speaking about. This is the inefficient section that we were able to make some changes to. And these will be townhomes, same product as where the multifamily was.
Okay. And you pick up a little more green space in there too.
Substantial, correct.
Yeah.
Instead of filling it with a roundabout or a cul-de-sac at the end, we were able to leave that.
I do like that this, like, the whole project had the trailhead and the paths for walking and, I mean, because you always want to keep, you know, you want to keep the families or the residents with activities and amenities to do on property, so.
And it looks like you changed this little corner too, to townhomes, is that correct? Am I looking at that right, from here?
This is the corner.
Well, yeah, I know on that one, but this,
Oh.
on this one compared to this,
Yeah, that was the
right,
yeah.
so that's a change.
That's been, there's, yes, that's been changed. But
Is that townhomes as well?
Correct.
And this shows you the design of the townhomes.
Josh, and what were you saying about the road improvements to add to expand to the next development? You guys are gonna pay to expand that yourselves?
So if you look at the original plan, right here, we were only delivering a connection to the adjacent track at the end of that little triangle. Now that we're putting in just a 50-foot right-of-way, we'll be able to carry that on in. They can have two connections off of it instead of one. And that same track, I believe, touches over here, so they can have now 3 connections. And given the size of that development, they're probably going to need it. So it just makes it a little bit more of a connected with the rest of the PDD.
But it's not on the plan.
Right. I mean, that's their plan. Whatever they want to propose. We're just saying we're bringing this road in.
They're just they're just expanding this road for the next development.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything yet on this. It's a different property owner group. They have not submitted anything to us yet. But Josh is right. They were stopping their one entry point right here. And so that was going to kind of hem them in a little
Exactly.
bit. And now they're extending that right away to give them an opportunity to have 1, 2, and then a third one down here. So they'll have 3 ways in and out if and when this ever comes in.
Well, I like the changes. I like taking away the high rises and,
I do too. The 191, that's.
and I like
huge.
lowering it to 191 homes. I also like the way that you have taken away this area and added more green space. And also the fact that you've given a connection to the next project in that area. What I would like to see is all of the changes on one map.
Have it for you.
And an explanation
That's
of
this one.
every one of them.
Maybe I think what you're saying is that we see it, but we didn't know it. We needed it
Yeah,
explained.
but
If
we
just
didn't
had
know it.
like a
We want to
list,
explain.
this is what we
Yes.
changed here, this is what we changed
It's
here.
been kind of like one section at a time has been thrown at us, instead of this whole, explaining everything you're going to do and then going to look at the map.
It may make the most sense to just, I don't know, the original item on your agenda and just let this new townhouse project go through planning commission
I think
next
so.
week and then come to you as to,
I think,
So we
I
can get
think that's
all-
an excellent idea.
All in sync and look at.
Just bring it all,
One,
because I like the changes you're making. And I think it'll be a much better project with your new changes. So, I think you're right. Let's take it to the planning commission, and then it will come back to us.
Okay, wonderful.
Because
Comfortable. We understand it.
yes,
We appreciate you listening and and giving more green space and,
Yeah,
Reducing the homes.
and reduction. We always like that, and buffers. Those are our three major things. Density, buffers, and green space.
Hit all three.
Yep.
and you've got
Yes.
all three in here.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time. It's been helpful, and I will see you again in probably a month.
That
Thank you.
sounds good. Okay, I think that's it. Anyone from the public have any input today on these two projects? Well, if not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.